Who better to provide fresh thinking and analysis on the role of America in the world, particularly in Africa, than the one and only Nico House, our regular political commentator and founder of the MCSC News Network. Nico, I really wanted to talk to you this week because it's a difficult subject, this, for me as a white man to raise. But I saw this House Negro head of AFRICOM, a black African American, threaten to kill the great leader of Burkina Faso, Captain Ibrahim Traore. And it made me so mad, I reached out for Nico House for a point of view on it. Did you see it? And what do you think of it?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, let me say congratulations, George, on all the success that you've been having. It's well deserved. I mean, from the guests to the topics that you cover, I feel like it's not really that many people giving so much diversity. And I know that Piers Morgan is trying his best to copy you, but, you know, it doesn't quite hit the same when you're not as dedicated to the truth as a presenter as you are. So let me just say congratulations on that. And yeah, absolutely. I saw Lingley's comments about Ibrahim, how he's supposedly using the gold reserves to provide his own private security. And let me just say, first of all, that's not true. Second of all, if it was true, let's be honest, wouldn't it be somewhat justified considering the fact that they continue to make attempts on his life? I mean, they just recently made another failed attempt on his life. That's probably why they're upset and why they're now going out of their way to bring it to the attention of the national public, to try and create this narrative, not unlike what we saw happen with Libya and Gaddafi, because Ibrahim has had that type of impact in West Africa when we're talking about not only uplifting Burkina Faso, but then uniting West African countries like Mali and Niger so that they can combat Western imperialism and the NATO allies that try to oppress them.
Well, that's right. His own bodyguards were offered $5 million to kill him. Now, it's no coincidence that the money involved was dollars. The United States and France are determined to do to Captain Traore what they did to so many others. In Burkina Faso, to the great Thomas Sankara, in the Congo, to the great Patrice Lumumba, and so many other leaders that they have dispensed with extreme prejudice because their own interests were threatened by an African leader who's actually governing in the interests of his own people and not of the empire.
Yep. I mean, this is a guy in Ibrahim Traore who wears the same uniform every single day. Not fancy suits, just a casual military uniform. He has no type of luxury. No one in the government is permitted to live any type of luxury. You know what he has done with the gold in Burkina Faso? What he's done is nationalize 2 gold mines that would have otherwise been sold for actually far less than what they're making after he nationalized it. That money is going towards the people. And the reason that no one in the government is allowed to live a life of luxury is because until the people of Burkina Faso can live that type of lifestyle, legally, without corruption, then he believes that no one in Burkina Faso should be allowed to live that type of luxury, especially members of the government. He has created a tomato processing facility that's doing very well for the agriculture there. I mean, just over the last couple of years, he's made so many positive changes, and it's all come from internal nationalized movement. And by the way, has been able to do this while Ukraine and Zelensky, on the other hand, of course with the help of the United States, have been trying to train terrorists to fight the military of Burkina Faso, because France couldn't do so and were kicked out after they tried to, they threatened Burkina Faso after Ibrahim took over, but it didn't work out, just like it didn't work out in Niger. And even though they've been combating terrorism that has been brought about by the United States and helped and funded by Ukraine, Zelensky actually bragged about training terrorists actually recently. He's still been able to carry out these economic measures to help the people of Burkina Faso, and it's been so inspirational. I think that, honestly, George, has been the scariest part. It's not just the success. If he was merely successful, then he would be a problem, and maybe it would be an isolated problem. They would probably try to take him out quietly, because we know they've done that with actually a lot of African leaders over the last maybe 6 or 7 years. They've taken them out quietly. But they're trying to make an example of Ibrahim, because Ibrahim has been so impactful as an inspiration to the rest of Africa. And they're worried that, especially in the current state of the world, that other African nations are going to realize they don't need the West. And I saw your quote. I saw your quote getting passed around on Instagram, actually. You know, there were different reactions to it. And I said, I know George, and I know exactly what he's trying to say. He's trying to say, believe in your own self-determination and be willing to fight the fight. Do not trade in your values or undersell yourself or your potential for these Western values that are just a facade. They're fugazi. They don't really exist. Africans have so much potential. They're so naturally good at everything. I mean, whether it comes to engineering, medicine, anything in between, they do so much more with much less. That how can you not believe in your own potential? And I was telling people, I'm like, he's telling Africans, don't sell yourself short. And I understand how the message can, you know, be received the wrong way because of you being white. But I was saying it doesn't matter if he's white, he's telling the truth. Because I know other Africans like David Uyedin, who reports from Nigeria, who feel exactly the same way.
Yeah, I mean, what I was saying is that you're being foolish sending your children to study in the United States, not least because there's a very high chance that if they say or think the wrong thing, they'll be picked up on the street and unceremoniously deported. Why send your children to the United States? Build up your own universities. Get leaders that are ready to build up their own educational system. Captain Traore just abolished all education fees this week. Now it's free for every child in Burkina Faso to go to nursery, primary, secondary, and university. Free of charge.
And they have their uniforms. They have their uniforms and their supplies provided to them.
Exactly. And a school lunch thrown in. None of which we've got, by the way, in Britain, and definitely none of which you've got in the United States. So, you know, that's my message. However, people have decided to take it. We stand, as Malcolm said, for justice, whoever it's for and whoever it's against. And we make no distinction of colour or race or creed in that. Let's take it back to the United States, if we can, Nico. I was making the point to Colonel Daniel Davis earlier that the Trump administration seems to be careering between left and right, America first, America last, careering between...
Because he is waking other Africans up, and every African need to rise up to protect Captain Ibrahim Traore.